Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We are from group 2. The topic we're gonna present is respiratory system. This is the list shown that each members will present according to their responsibilities.
My name is Nurul Farsha binti Muhammad Yusuf, and I will start this presentation with presenting to you about the medical terms related to anatomy, thesis, and procedure. First, we will take a look at the medical terms related to anatomy. We have alveoli, also known as air sac, are the very small grape-like clusters that found at the end of each bronchi. Next, we have mediastinum, the middle section of the chest cavity, and is located between the lungs. This cavity contains connective tissue and organs, including the heart and its veins and arteries, the esophagus, trachea, bronchial, the thymus gland, and lymph nodes. Next, we will take a look at the medical terms related to disease. Firstly, we have emphysema, which is a long-term loss of lung function, usually due to smoking. Picture A shows a changes in the alveoli as the disease progresses. Meanwhile, Picture B laterally X-ray showing lung enlargement and abnormal barrel chest in emphysema. Next, we have asthma. Asthma is a chronic inflammatory disease of the bronchial tubes, often triggered by the allergic reaction. This picture shows a changes in the airways during an asthma. Before the asthma happens, the muscles are relaxed and the airways are open. But during the asthma, the muscles are tightened and the airways filled with mucus. Now, we have croup. Croup is an acute respiratory infection in children that characterized by obstruction of larynx, hoarseness, and swelling around the vocal cord, resulting in a barking cough and stridor. Next, we have tuberculosis, which is an infectious disease caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis that usually attack the lung but also can affect other parts of the body too. Furthermore, we have a medical terms related to procedure. Firstly, we have bronchoscopy, which is the visual examination of the bronchi using bronchoscope. Next, we have endotracheal intubation, which is the passage of a tube through the mouth into the trachea to establish or maintain an open airways, especially when a patient is on a ventilator. Last but not least, we have tracheotomy, which is a procedure in which incision is made into a trachea to gain access to the airway below a blockage. That's all from me. I will pass this presentation to the next presenter.
I would like to explain the structure of the upper respiratory tract consists of nose, mouth, pharynx, epiglottis, larynx, and trachea. The external openings of the nose are known as the nostrils. The cartilage wall, known as the nasal septum, separate the nose into two equal portions. The wall separating two chambers is known as a septum. The tiny hairs called cilia are found immediately within the nose. The nose is lined with the mucous membranes. Next, the pharynx, which is commonly known as the throat. The pharynx is made up of three divisions, which is the first one is nasopharynx, as a posterior to the nasal cavity and continues downward to behind the mouth. The oropharynx, which is the second division, is the portion that is visible when looking into the mouth. The laryngopharynx, which is the third division, is located below the lingual tonsil. The larynx, also known as the voice box, is triangular chamber located between the pharynx and the trachea. The larynx is protected and supported by a series of 9 separate cartilage. So, let's move to the paranasal sinuses, which are air-filled cavity lines with the mucous membranes, are located in the bones of the skull. A sinus can be a sac or cavity in any organ or tissue. However, the term sinus most commonly refers to paranasal sinuses. The frontal sinuses, which are one of 4 pairs or paranasal sinuses, are found in the frontal bones right above the eyebrows. The optic nerve are near to the spinous sinuses, which are situated in the spinous bone beneath the pituitary gland and behind the eyes. The largest paranasal sinuses are the maxillary sinuses, which are found the maxillary bones beneath the eyes. The last pair is the ethmoid sinuses, which are irregularly shaped air cells separated from the orbital eye cavity by just a thin layer of bonds and are found in the ethmoid bonds between the nose and the eyes. The tonsils, also called the palatine tonsil, are located. The nasopharyngeal tonsil are higher up and behind the nose and the roof of the mouth. The laryngopharynx is closed off by the epiglottis, a lid-like structure that is situated at the base of the tongue. The last but not least is trachea, which is commonly known as the windpipe, is located directly in front of the esophagus.
Next, let us move on to the lower respiratory tract. It is composed of the trachea, the lungs, and all segments of the bronchial tree, including the alveoli. First, we have the trachea. It is located just below the larynx. The trachea is the main airway to the lungs. The trachea divides into two branches called bronchi, each leading to spread lung. Each bronchus divide and subdivide into smaller bronchiole. At the end of the bronchiole, there are alveoli, also known as air sacs. It is where the gas is exchanged. Next is lungs. The lungs are made of a light and soft elastic tissue. It is the major organs of the respiratory system. The right lung has three lobes, which are upper lobe, middle lobe, and lower lobe. The left lung just has two lobes, which is upper lobe and lower lobe. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putri Norfazia binti Ruslan. I will continue about the physiology of the upper respiratory tract. It has three functions such as air conditioning, defense against pathogens, and the sense organ. The upper respiratory tract includes all the structure from nose up to vocal cord or larynx. These are known as upper airways. It involves in the conduction or the movement of air into and out of the body. Upper respiratory tract organs provide a route for air to move between the outside atmosphere and the lungs. They also clean, humidity, and warm the incoming air. However, no gas exchange occurs in these organs. First of all, the air enters the human body through nostrils, which then passes through the nasal cavity. The air is filtered by specialized hair-like structure in the nasal cavity called cilia. The cells of the nasal cavity secrete mucus, which helps to trap the dust particles and blocks it from moving ahead. The nasal cavity also provides warmth and adds moisture to the air. The nasal cavity has specialized sensory cells that are sensitive to smell and odor. And that is the reason why our nose is a sense organ. The nasal cavity opens into a much wider cavity called the pharynx. The pharynx is a common passage for air and food. It is easily visible when you open your mouth wide. The region is just behind the tongue. This is the reason why while you having food, sometimes you suddenly cough because the food accidentally entered the other pipe because the pharynx has a cartilaginous flap-like structure that called epiglottis. This epiglottis closes the windpipe when we swallow the food. It prevents the entry of the food in the windpipe. So, while swallowing, if the epiglottis is partially closed off, followed by pharynx, is a region called larynx or known as voice box. The larynx on males is often seen protruding out, and this is called Adam's apple. From here, the air passes through a 4-inch long tube-like structure called trachea.
Next, I will continue with the physiology of lower respiratory tract. Along with the upper respiratory tract, the lower respiratory tract makes up the respiratory system. In descending order, it begins with the trachea, which is also known as the windpipe. The trachea divides into two main bronchi and one bronchi each enter one of the pair of lungs. As the bronchi branch out and become smaller in the lungs, they eventually allow for gas to exchange to take place. The site of the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide is known as the respiratory zone. At the top of the lower respiratory tract is the trachea. It connects the larynx above it to the main bronchi. It is flexible hollow tube that stretches with the movement of the neck. It also has a set of sturdy cartilage rings that keep it from collapsing during breathing. This could otherwise happen because of the change in air pressure that moves air in and out of the lungs. The two main bronchi branch off from the trachea. Each one carry air into a separate lung. Together, they form the head of what is called the bronchial tree. The bronchial tree contains a network of increasingly smaller bronchial tubes that first divide from the main bronchi. Eventually, they end the structure called bronchioles, which are extremely small. The bronchioles are nearly the smallest part of the lower respiratory tract. At the farthest and smallest end of the bronchial tree are the alveoli. This is the site where oxygen from the air enters the blood and carbon dioxide passes into the alveoli. The lungs are responsible for moving air throughout the upper and lower respiratory tract. They draw in air when contracting muscle cause them to expand. The difference in air pressure that results cause air to be drawn into the lungs. After expanding, they naturally recoil before the next inward breath. That's all from us. Thank you.